Okay, cool. So Maggie, do you want to start? Maybe just introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. So my name is Maggie Bond. I'm a reference librarian at the Austin Public Library working at the Central Branch.
All right. And Amy?
My name is Amy Mullin. I'm an electronic resources librarian at the Austin Public Library. And that's just a fancy title for saying that I deal with the online content like ebooks and learning resources and all of the cool stuff I'll demonstrate in a bit.
Nice. Yeah, I think this is one of those things that even before we were in quarantine, you know, the library's always had virtual resources.
Yes.
That folks might even be surprised to know that that's your title, Amy. You know what I mean? That we have this whole component of the virtual library. So I wanted to, maybe that's a good way to start today, is just kind of showcasing some of those cool features of the virtual library, because all the branches are physically closed, but people can still access all these online resources, right?
Right, correct. So I'm going to share my screen and show off the virtual library that we have. Oh, one second. So to get here, go to library.austintexas.gov/virtual. And we have both the virtual library for our general users. We also have a link to our Biblioteca Virtual. Many of our resources are also available for Spanish speakers. We have it sorted by the content type that you're looking for. We also recently launched APO Plus, which are, it's online programming, since folks can't come into our buildings for programming at this point.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Our virtual library has over 800,000 different items, and we're adding new content weekly.
Wow.
The thing is, you will need to perhaps download several different apps or learn some different platforms, but all of these can be accessed outside of the library with an Austin Public Library card and your Austin Public Library password. Ebooks and audiobooks are super popular. This might be the first thing people think of with the virtual library. One of the most popular is Overdrive. You may have the Libby app on your device. That's also the same content as an Overdrive. And that is our largest collection of ebooks, audiobooks, and we also have a small collection of streaming video. RB Digital is also very popular. We have a huge collection of audiobooks there. We just added streaming video, different channels like The Great Courses, Acorn TV, live music concerts if you're missing, you know, live music in town, as well as indie flicks, which are independent films. We also have had for a long time e-magazines through RB Digital, and that's a very green initiative of ours. Instead of getting a print magazine subscription, say every week or month, you can download it to your device, keep it forever. We have 200 different titles, and that keeps thousands of magazines out of the landfill every year.
I love recommending RB Digital in particular to anyone who mentions that they're traveling, and I tell them never buy a magazine at the airport again.
Exactly, just load up your device. You can get back issues for your favorite magazines, and it's a great way to keep up with news, entertainment, cooking, whatever you're interested in.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Great Courses. Oh, I see it coming down on.
Oh, we've got Great Courses in a couple of different places.
Yeah, I was going around checking out those earlier today, and it seems so cool, especially now, like everyone, you know, so many people are like wanting to take the time to learn, and there are all these, you know, pretty expensive online virtual options, and it's like when I found these, it's like, oh my gosh, there's the endless opportunity right here at your fingertips. It's pretty awesome.
They'll definitely feed your brain. For folks who don't know, the Great Courses are lectures by world-class professors on a huge variety of topics. It's actually difficult not to find something that you may be interested in. We do have a couple of different platforms that offer it. Some of them, it makes it a little easier to binge watch. Others, if you want to, say, take a lecture and then sit on it for a bit, you can do it that way. Our e-learning content in general has been very popular, especially since a lot of kids can't be physically in school. BrainFuse offers live tutoring from 2 to 11 p.m. in English and in Spanish for all age groups. So that includes adult learners, college students, pre-K, and all different topics. So BrainFuse is a fantastic way if your, say, 8-year-old is studying fractions and you haven't touched fractions in 30 years, send them to BrainFuse and it'll save you a headache trying to relearn fractions and all of that stuff. We also have Mango Languages if you want to learn a new language, a lot of test prep and some computer tutorials. So we have a ton of ways to keep your brain full and engaged during this time. If you just want some entertainment, we've got plenty of that too. Coming up, we have Electric Ladybird, which is our local music streaming service. We already have about 100 albums represented that are free to stream wherever you are. We have a new round opening up this Friday, May 1st, where we want local musicians to submit their albums for consideration. We have a panel of curators who will select nearly 100 albums this round. This is going to be a biggie. And we're also hoping this will help out a lot of musicians who couldn't play South by Southwest. They're not playing out right now. This is a great way to get their music out there. And we also do pay them if we accept their album for submission. So that's this Friday, we open it up. Hoopla has streaming video. In addition to ebooks and audiobooks, it also has e-comics and TV shows. Canopy is very popular. That's also streaming documentaries and art house films and great movies there. And like I said, we just added movies as well to RB Digital. With magazines and newspapers, I know a lot of us are stuck to the news right now. If you want some really great sources, we've got several different ways to get the Statesman, Newsbank, full color, full page newspapers, and you can also access the New York Times. We give you a 72-hour pass. You have unlimited access to those articles in 72 hours. And when your time's up, just come back to our site to get another pass. We have a great section for youth, again, for both homework help as well as lots of entertainment. We've added a ton of stuff, and children's books are checking out like crazy right now. And it's great to see that kids are using this time to read. If you don't have a card yet and you're wondering how to get one, you can get an e-card from us. And if you live in the Austin city limits, an e-card is free. And if you live outside the limits, but in Texas, then it's $22 a year. It's an easy application. You'll get a login within a day or two. I'm not sure how backed up those folks are issuing the cards, but they've been doing a great job getting new cards in people's hands so they can use the virtual library.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's so much to do on there. And, I wonder, can you click on the APO Plus component?
Sure.
I know that's maybe not as much your domain, but you guys are doing, so these are things that are maybe happening now specifically because of COVID or because a lot of other programs are not in person as they used to be.
Yeah, correct.
So many librarians that really, really miss providing programs and more engagement. And this is one really great way that we can offer a little bit more of that.
Cool. So this is librarians that normally are hosting these things, and they're kind of posting the videos online.
That's a lot of what it is, but it's even more than that. I'm not actually on the APO Plus team, but I am about to hopefully get to do a series of videos with my partner in crime, Julie, when we do the True Crime Book Club, and we cannot wait to talk to people and to engage with people a little bit that way while talking about all of our true crime books.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah, I find these videos, I know the Parks Department has also been doing a lot of this, taking their programming virtual, and they're so cool because it's like I think there's something very unique about it being like this local person and people who maybe who are really passionate about this and maybe have never done like a video or anything before, but are trying to just like share their information and their passion and get it out in the world. And it's like, just feels so much more sincere and like engaging, it's cool to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And just briefly going back to everything that Amy was just talking about, she just mentioned so many really different and amazing resources from the virtual library. And if anyone is watching your video here or watching us and thinking that they are interested in something specific or just feeling overwhelmed and don't know how to get started, exactly, they would be going to ask us and email or chat. They're talking to me or a reference librarian just like me about using those resources.
Yeah, the chat function is really cool. And I think, again, another example of like, I couldn't believe how well it worked. I used it in order to get in contact with you all just to set up this video. But someone answered right away,
Yeah,
really
I just had a shift on chat right before I was talking to you, and I helped a couple people get going with Hoopla.
Okay, yeah, I wonder like what kind of things do people ask? Is it like they want assistance setting up some of these programs, or like what kind of things are you hearing from people?
Well, the amazing thing about being a librarian is that people ask us literally any question on earth. The main ones are, at this point, of course, about using the virtual library, making sure that their card is still active or that they can get an e-card, trying to figure out how to get started with all of these different services. It's confusing because, yeah, we have such a wide range, but it's like the library subscribes to the service so that our customers can get it for free, but that means each service works a little bit differently. And we're here for you because we know it's confusing and we just want to help navigate your way through it.
Yeah. And then what about the Book a Librarian feature? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Book a Librarian is the best way to make sure that you can get a big old chunk, 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with a reference librarian like me. So it is absolutely free. You do not even need to have a library card in order to use the service. And it is the best way to make sure that you really get that uninterrupted time with one of us where we can help you with exactly what you're trying to research. Should I keep going?
Yeah, well, Maggie, I wonder if we could talk about like what are some examples of things that you've helped people with in the like who sees it?
So there are a really wide variety of customers who come to us through Book a Librarian. We help a lot of people that are actually starting a small business or who are currently small business owners and aren't sure about how to do market research, write a business proposal. We have so many resources through the library that we can help introduce them to that will help them get their business going. We have a lot of students reach out to us, particularly students who are in college and grad school, students who might be getting an online degree and don't get to meet with their own librarians face-to-face, come to talk to us about their research papers and projects. We have people who are interested in getting started with ebooks, but really want someone to be able to sit there next to them or be on the phone with them for an extended time and step by step make sure that they have got it all set up on their device. We get a whole range of people.
Yeah, very cool. I love that. It's so helpful. And the small business part is interesting too. I know that is something that the city has several different programs to help people with that. And it is just the kind of thing, I guess sometimes you just need someone to sit through the process with you, help troubleshoot.
Absolutely. We are not in the business of doing research for people. We're a teach a man to fish operation. So basically what we can do is introduce you to the resources that are there to help you, the best resources for your particular research, and to teach you how to use and search through those resources. And so it really gets you a nice firm place to start on whatever journey you're about to go on.
Yeah. And so for both of you, now that the libraries are physically closed, I'm sure it's different, you're doing your jobs differently, even though we already had these virtual resources. I'm wondering if, you might want to share a way that your job has changed has been like interesting, you know, like a new thing you've learned, or a new way you're reaching people or connecting with the community?
I was waiting for Amy to start talking.
Okay. Honestly, my job, except for working in comfier clothes and maybe, you know, it hasn't changed in terms of the daily tasks. I can say the daily tasks have possibly doubled or tripled or more for me. It So we're ordering a lot more content than we used to. There's more trying to forecast when the libraries do reopen, or Texas is already starting to reopen a bit, trying to gauge demand and figure out what the demand for print will be, because I work in the department that also orders print books and DVDs and all of that. So those things are just a normal part of my job, but we're having very different conversations about how we're going to serve the public and what they're going to want. In terms of new things I've learned, I never thought I'd say this. I missed my desk and having 2 monitors. It's hard to be.
I missed 2 monitors. 2 monitors.
Which sounds incredibly privileged.
I know.
I think one thing I have been working here for, I forget, something like 7 or 8 years. And I've always been really pushing the virtual library and trying to, it takes a long time for new products to catch, and it's great to see when they finally catch on. I can say I never really wanted this to be the reason. So I definitely, all librarians have a really big public service motivation at their core, but especially now I really do feel like we are, we're really helping, and it's giving us a more sharpened focus on how we can help our community.
Yeah.
Yes, sharpened is a wonderful word for it. And Amy is just absolutely a virtual library database rock star. My job, on the other hand, as a reference librarian, as one of the adult services librarians, has been dramatically different, equally busy, but so much of our focus is on customer service and community building. And a lot of that has been very different right now. We are still offering our services on the phone, through chat and email, but of course in person is not possible at this moment. A lot of us are very passionate about programming and are having to put our programs on hold and try to find different ways to interact. I have been doing a lot of work on the summer reading program for adults, and we are trying to make it super fun, super engaging, with as much contact directly, person to person as possible, but still entirely virtual. So I don't want to give anything away yet. It's going to be just obscenely fun.
Great.
Nice.
And Maggie's a fantastic programmer too. If you have any opportunity to attend her programs virtually or eventually in person, she throws the best library parties.
Maggie, can you come a little closer? You're cutting out a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I basically love throwing parties for nerds. That's what I say that I do. And us nerds throw some pretty great parties. So for instance, we would have had APO After Dark fancy pants, where everyone was gonna get all dressed up in what they thought was fancy when they were a little kid. And we were gonna speak to an expert on etiquette and have a mass waltzing lesson. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'm gonna be able to bring everyone as much of that kind of programming as possible. But of course, things are going to be a little different for a long time.
Yeah. And so before we end, you kind of are touching on it, I think, both of you, but If maybe you could just share your favorite part of being a librarian. I think, like I said, I'm a library nerd. I have always thought it would be cool to be a librarian. But what is it about you? What is it about the job that keeps you all motivated and excited?
I'll start. Whether I'm working with the public or the people in our community, or more that my position is now working with new content and new books coming out and movies, I am learning something new every day, whether it's about people, our community, or just the cool stuff. I get to see sneak previews of some of the new best-selling books and buzz books, and I just love learning something new every single day.
Cool. And what about you, Maggie?
I love all the resources that we can provide for customers, but really what I'm most passionate about is the way that the public library is becoming more and more community oriented and about building community, and is this free open public space without a cover charge to walk in through the doors and use everything, the way that people can connect in this way that has nothing to do with their demographics, just to do with their interests and their passions. And I love all those little moments where I get to bring a little bit of equity, some digital literacy to the Austin community.
Awesome. And so you both kind of mentioned, I think you mentioned it, but Amy, maybe this is for you. What's like one virtual library tool you've been using a lot lately, or that you'd recommend for folks? What's been your favorite as of late?
I'm not supposed to play favorites. I can say just before all of this happened, I was moving, and I'm still in the middle of moving. I don't have enough time really to sit down and watch one of our great streaming movies or read a book even. I have been hitting the audiobooks hard and so cranking up the Electric Ladybirds tunes, because that way I can move around, unpack all the boxes, and I can still, either learn something new or enjoy a book or some music without, and still get some stuff done.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Maggie? Any virtual tool you've been using a lot lately?
Yes, so many, but if I had to name one that I think might be underused, or I just want to give a big old plug, a lot of customers will come to us about specific products or reviews or comparisons, and while we can't do shopping, we can lead people to some of the best consumer resources for making those great decisions, especially now we all want to be very careful, very precise with our money. And we actually have this consumer reports database that I love and I use for myself all the time. And I just think if you are looking for a reliable place for reviews and to be very careful about your finances, Consumer Reports is a wonderful resource.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to chat today. I really appreciate it, and the work that you're doing for the community. Anything we missed that you wanted to talk about before we close?
No, thanks for this opportunity to talk about the Austin Public Library.
Yeah, thank you.
Austin.
Yeah, thank you both. And feel free, let us know if you've ever got another, program or anything like that that you want to share out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.